All right, Celtics live post game, filling in for Ev once again on the post game streams. Ev's off on a trip, as the Celtics get started on the playoffs here, and a tough game one loss. Obviously, the Celtics come out looking really good, and I know that was a lot of people's takeaways from the first half is they were scoring really well. They were playing, or they weren't scoring super well, but they're playing defense really well against a Nets team that you expected to just explode offensively and be so impossible to contain. And the Nets were really struggling in the first half, and the Celtics deserve some credit for that, considering the kind of pressure they were putting on there, how well they were playing as a unit. And it seemed like things were kind of going their way. Jason Tatum was scoring well early. It didn't say that way. He obviously came out, but he scored 7 quick points early. And Kemba Walker, he didn't play as well as you hoped he would have. Kemba, I mean, the bottom line about tonight is if you were going to have a chance in this series, it kind of feels like you needed this game, and you needed Kemba Walker to be better if you were going to win this game. I mean, Kemba, he hit a couple threes late that make his stats look better than they were, but Kemba ultimately finishes with 15, only 1 rebound, 2 assists, and finishes 5 of 16 from the field. 31% Kemba shot tonight. And again, he hit some shots kind of in garbage time there that made that look a lot different. So that was really tough to take. But yeah, you come out in that first half, and then basically the third quarter starts, and just Kevin Durant was just like, yeah, I'm just going to be Kevin Durant, and kind of took over there, and gave the Nets the lead, and they never looked back. So that's tough. And at the end of the third, the Celtics were able to pull it in close. They got some good contribution from Jabari Parker, and he helped a little bit there defensively. He had some mistakes, but he did something a little there at the end of the third that helped that run for the Celtics to kind of get within 3, and they just couldn't get any closer than that. And it was really about the Nets' big 3. I mean, I think I was looking at it before I went live here. The rest of the Nets, the rest of the team scored 22 points besides Durant, Irving, and Harden, which you see there. The rest of the team scored 22. It didn't matter because those guys combined for what? 82? 82 to 20. Joe Harris had 10 points. Jeff Green had like 3. It didn't matter. It didn't matter tonight. The Nets, that's just when you have 3 guys this good, and you see even Harden, who scored the least of the 3, 21 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 steals. Like, he contributed in every single way possible. So that it was just ridiculous. I mean, it proves even when you feel like these guys aren't having all world nights, which they're all NBA players, they're all world players, even when they're not playing out of their minds incredible, it's so difficult to beat. And so that's what was frustrating about game one. Silver lining, if you want it, Kemba didn't shoot great. Tatum didn't shoot great. So if you have either of those guys playing better, you stand a chance this game. Maybe you win it, but you needed them to be on their games tonight, playing at an elite level. And it looked like they were going to get there, especially in the first half, and they just couldn't. Tatum just couldn't keep it going, and Kemba didn't really get things going after the first minute or 2. And besides those late ones, like I said, so you needed Kemba and Tatum to be better. That's the bottom line tonight. Is in spite of everything else, everything that went on, Tatum and Kemba, they're your 2 best players right now. They needed to be better. And one quick thing before we get into the chat. Shout out to Robert Williams, and it's a good way to start transition in the chat because Lamb was the first one in here saying block Lord. Robert Williams played incredible tonight, and he deserves a lot of credit because he was in a lot of pain in that Wizards game. We all remember how he was writhing on the ground, needed to come out. He was questionable for this game. A lot of people didn't know if he could even play. He didn't start, had to come off the bench, and 9 blocks in this one. A Celtics franchise record. Just incredible stuff from Robert Williams. And you got to give him a lot of credit for what he was able to do through the pain, comes in there tonight and really shines. And I think if anyone was the star of the game, it was Robert Williams. And, you got to give him the nod there. I think if we're giving a player of the game in this one, like Ev always does, it's Robert Williams because he was special tonight. We'll keep going with the chat. Michael saying Kemba and Tatum didn't show up. Yeah, just what I was talking about there. Ray saying we suck. And, look, in the first half, this was total opposite of what we're talking about now, because in that first half, people were saying, that it seemed like they were going to win. Maybe they were taking game one. If you take game one, all of a sudden, playing so much better defensively. And if you take game one, then what happens? Then you go back home 3-4. Everybody's excited for when Kyrie's going to come back with fans and what's going to happen with all that and stuff like that. But I think that it was just it was tough that they weren't able to contain it. And like I said, it's kind of a matter of Durant just turning it on and being Kevin Durant, and then what are you supposed to do in that third quarter? And I think Steven's touched on that a little bit here about Tatum. At least third quarter, Tatum didn't even touch the ball like 9 possessions in a row. And, and that kind of is the opposite of what I'm just saying is the Nets say, all right, we're down, we're losing by a few points, get it to Kevin Durant and give it to our best player, and he'll bring us back into it. And the Celtics didn't do that with Tatum. And you saw early on Brad Stevens trying to kind of manage Tatum's minutes, and then even they kind of mentioned, Doris and whoever else was Breen or whatever. They were on the call and they were saying that, Brad Stevens already, messing with Tatum's minutes. He doesn't know how, he's not going to be able to give him his usual rest, or someone said that. I don't know if they said it on the call or not, but Tatum plays close to 42 minutes tonight. And, I don't know, was that part of, 22 points in 42 minutes isn't good, but was that part of why he wasn't as efficient? Because he was just so tired, so gassed, some tough defensive assignments. Obviously everybody on the team is going to have tough defensive assignments with the way the Nets are built. But that's what he's saying, man, oh man. Lan saying Nets in 4. There's no hope. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's going to be a clean sweep? I think, honestly, after tonight, I'm more encouraged with the whole, like, the idea that this isn't going to be a sweep, because the Celtics were semi-competitive tonight. And I don't know that it's going to be like that for the whole series. Again, I think this was a game you needed to take, but at least it was a competitive game. And I think that's the most you can ask for. Anyway, we'll move on here. Steven saying, everyone saying Tatum didn't show up is dumb. He played good defense and made plays, just didn't hit enough shots. But that's what happens when no one else can score. Steven, I think that's half fair, but I think we have to acknowledge Tatum should have, like you said, and you're even acknowledging that, didn't hit enough shots. And that's what it's going to come down to against the Nets team that can pour it in offensively. Didn't do so tonight, but you need Tatum to score, because look, no one else can score. Like you just said at the end there, Steven, no one else can score. So you need Tatum to score. And when he doesn't, you're not going to win. But how do you stand a chance when he doesn't score at like 30? And I think people were even talking before. Someone in the pregame said, "Oh, Tatum's going to average 45 in this series." Obviously, that's ludicrous. But someone said 35. I was like, maybe that's a little more realistic. 35 isn't, it's an insane amount. But like the way he's playing, yeah, if you're going to have a chance in the series, you're going to need to average like 35. So when he only scores 22 and shoots 30%. Not going to cut it. Not going to cut it at all. The Nets were focused on one thing on defense, and that was stopping Tatum. Well, if that's the case, then you know what, Steven? I should hear you bragging on Kemba, because if they were only focused on stopping Tatum, then what's Kemba's excuse? Because Kemba was not great tonight either. So both of those guys need to be better. And by the way, Steven, a lot of people are focused on stopping Tatum. A lot of teams come in and say, we're going to stop Tatum. They can't. A lot of teams come in and think of the nights where Kemba's out. When Kemba's out, all the attention's on Tatum, and he still should be able to play better than this. So Ray saying, we have no firepower. Anyhow, I have zero respect for super teams like Brooklyn. They're not real teams to me. That's an interesting take, Ray. I don't know. There's just so many now that it's like, you're discrediting everybody. If you say, oh, super teams, aren't real teams and they don't deserve credit for their championships and all this stuff, like, then no one deserves credit for their championships. Like that's a little over the top. So, I think that that's it's a little too much for me. It's a step too far, but I understand where you're coming from, because it is frustrating when these teams that are just so good come along and they just build it by the super friends getting together, all that stuff, and they can't seem to and it seems like it's almost impossible to beat them even when they're playing poorly. So that is frustrating. You're not playing like this in the playoffs. Or you say, hold on, you're not playing like it's the playoffs. They're playing like it's game 2 of the season. Is this you talking about the super team as far as that goes? Or the Celtics? I can't really tell what you're talking about there, Ray. But yes, at least I'm assuming you're going back to your super team points. So I'll go with that. It is frustrating when it is the playoffs and you have a team that's so good that they don't need to give effort like a lot of other teams have to. So. I get why that's frustrating from that standpoint. Save us from the pain. Yeah, Brandon, I see in the chat. Don't want to have to watch this series, and I'm sure a lot of people agree it's going to be. Hopefully it doesn't get worse than this, but it probably will. So if you couldn't stand this one, then you're not going to want to watch the rest of the series, because I'm sure there's going to be at least one or two ugly ones that are like 30 to 40 point blowouts. Like, think about what it was when if you think about the Cavaliers series in the conference finals when Isaiah Thomas was out. I'm sure we're going to get a few games like that. And there was one great win in there that's still fun to look back on and, kind of say, oh, yeah, well, the Celtics, that Avery Bradley game winner, that was one fun game. But most of those games were absolutely brutal. Ray saying Williams is the man. Yeah, I mean, again, shout out to Robert Williams for playing through his injury and playing that well. It was one thing for him to go out there and play through it, but to be that good on top of it is, that's a real credit to him. And, I think it's a good sign for the future, at least. Shout out to Robert Williams. Absolutely. I mean, and by the way, I think just shy of a triple double for Robert Williams too. As I look it up now, 1 rebound and 1 block shy of a triple double, which is crazy. Triple double with blocks, which would have been unreal. Hold on, let me just tweet this out real quick. Let's see, because I keep getting distracted by this. I want to get this out. All right, let's see. Put this out. 11, 9, and 9 for Robert Williams. Playing through the pain is just that's the real. I mean, because we all know what he can do and the way he can disrupt a game and what he's going to be like for the future for the Celtics, and everything like that. But just the fact that he was able to go out there and do what he did was impressive, and that's why it makes it so frustrating. That the Celtics couldn't come up with a win, because when you get a performance like that from Robert Williams, it's just like, I mean, it feels like you wasted that. And I know that, not to call out Kemba or Tatum from that, but, Robert Williams did his job, and Marcus Smart played really well too. We haven't even really touched on Smart at all. 17 points from Marcus Smart. Like, we talk about where they're going to get that scoring beyond Kemba, Tatum, Fournier. Like, Smart's one of those guys that if he has a good night, he can really, he can make a huge difference. And I know sometimes it can be frustrating to see Marcus Smart shoot, a ton out there and not, not have the best night, and kind of sometimes he ruins things and he mucks it up and everything like that. But a lot of times, stuff like this or those rare nights where stuff like this happens, it feels like you have to take advantage of that. And the fact that they couldn't, that's really frustrating. It's Gear saying, everybody be sure to like up the stream. Absolutely, guys. Make sure to like the stream, because I know Ev's away. It's going to be away for the first 2 games. So we're doing the first one here, and then the second one will be back with our normal setup. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. Cool Genuine. There we go. Cool Genuine. Finally found it. Celtics didn't match intensity in the second half. And yeah, we just talked about how great they were in the first half. I don't know if it's so much they didn't match intensity. I mean, it's a little bit of that, but it's mostly like like I said, when Kevin Durant just comes out in the third quarter and absolutely takes over, and just bucket after bucket, gets to the free throw line, blocked a shot in there, everything like that. That's tough to compete with. It's tough for anyone to compete with Kevin Durant when he's at his best, and he was certainly close to his best tonight. MT23 saying 2 threes in the second half, both by Kemba, and MT both at the end, like we said. So that's just, again, not going to get it done. Deshaun Torrey saying, I'm done already. I mean, I can't totally blame you. I was kind of done when Jaylen Brown got injured, but I'm still going to, come out and watch the games. And this one was, again, fun for the first half. And you feel like, especially in the first half, it felt like, hey, maybe there's some hope here. So if you're still a fan of basketball, you're going to come out and watch these games, and you're going to try to, talk yourself into unrealistic scenarios, especially if you're a big Celtics fan. But absolutely a frustrating night, certainly, especially because it felt like it was right there for them, and they couldn't get there. And that there's not going to be many nights like that in this series. Cool Genuine, given a Time Lord was impressive, kept them in the game. Absolutely. We talk about Time Lord a lot. Don't want to bug it out too much. I knew the lead we built was fool's gold. It was all threes. Once they stopped falling, it was over. Well, I don't know. I feel like I guess you could say it was fool's gold, but the fact that they didn't hit enough threes in the second half, like that's a little more fluky than anything. It's not like they haven't been a great 3-point shooting team this season, but they should have been able to shoot better. And I think that the bottom line is not that, oh, it's fool's gold, they couldn't have won this game. It was, they should have played better in the second half. Tatum should have played better. Kemba should have played better, and they would have won. And that's what it comes down to. It's not like, I don't think anything about this game was fake, other than maybe the Nets' lack of offense. I think that's a little wishy-washy, but Tatum and Kemba should have played better. And if they did, if they shot better, if everybody, shot better in the second half at least, they would have really stood a chance. Ben wrote saying the best we can do is keep it tight. Otherwise, they will torch us over the series. And Ben, again, I have to disagree. I think, again, if those guys played their usual games, Tatum hits, if Tatum gets 10 more points, 10 of 24, 2 more threes, 2 more twos, whatever. Maybe he hits a free throw in there. I don't know. Say he gets 10 more points, and say Kemba gets 10 more points. Then all of a sudden, this should have been a real ball game. So I can't quite agree there. Stephen J saying the Celtics never gave up. Tatum was double and triple teamed all game. Kemba has to play bigger. And that was the big thing, is like, if you looked down the stretch, Kemba Walker was playing really, really well. Like, Kemba Walker started to string a few games together where you started to say, like, wow, Kemba actually might be able to make a difference come playoff time. Like, he might be able to come in and, fill that role or fill that void left by Jaylen Brown, help fill it. Obviously Evan Fournier is gonna, do a little bit of that too, and obviously make have to fill that kind of Jaylen Brown role and fill that scoring. But Fournier would have stepped into the third score role, and Tatum would be that second guy. And then basically Kemba just started playing like at another level. And once he started to step into that role of the second option, it was totally different. It was a totally different Kemba. So hold on, let me just do this real quick. So if you look at Kemba's stats from the last week plus here before the regular season ended, it was like he was stringing together some really impressive games. Against Washington, 29 points in the play-in. Against Miami, 36 in that game, 33 against Chicago, 32 against Orlando. So he's been really playing insanely well lately, Kemba Walker. But it wasn't there tonight for some reason. And that's, when you really, really needed it. And that's, it's annoying. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to rag on Kemba for it. But, what are you supposed to do? But I mean, end of the season, and even if you want to include the play-in game, but before this, 4 of his previous 5 games were over 29. 4 of his previous 5 over 29 points, 29 or more. So that's, you got to give a lot of credit to Kemba for that, but you hope it can continue into the playoffs. It wasn't there tonight. It's got to be there for the rest of the series if they're going to stand any kind of a chance. MT saying Rob Williams joined Hakeem, Dwight, Duncan, Mourning, Bynum, and Coleman. So Bynum and Coleman kind of ruined that list, but Bynum was good in his day. Derek Coleman not bad. As the only players with 10-9-9 in a playoff game, and yeah, I mean, and I kind of make fun of the end of that list a little bit, but that's still really, really impressive company. And he's not. Robert Williams is not going to be Hakeem Olajuwon. He's not going to be Tim Duncan. Probably not even going to be Dwight Howard. And I say probably, like, Dwight Howard is a really, really good player, led a team to the finals, is the best player. Robert Williams is going to be Dwight Howard, but he can be a really, really good piece for years to come. And I don't know how, I don't know how good, like, I don't know how good we're talking, like a guy that I know a lot of Pistons fans that I talk to love and is going to the Hall of Fame now, Ben Wallace. Like, I don't know if that's his ceiling. That's pretty high. And again, pretty elite company. Can he be maybe not, Ben Wallace type, but that next step down of like a defensive player of the year candidate one day? The way he played tonight, it seems so. And the way he's been playing all season, like he was 6th in the league in blocks this year. If he can take another step up and get to that, Rudy Gobert, 1st, 2nd in the league in blocks tier, and as his body progresses, as he ages, gets to his prime at age 26, 27, can he be a defensive player of the year? I absolutely think so. And that's what's really, really special about Robert Williams. You're talking about a guy that was 2-time, SEC Defensive Player of the Year in college, great instincts, everything like that. Like, so and doing this, by the way, just with his turf toe injury, and you wondered what was his mobility going to be like, what was his how well was he going to be able to jump off of that foot, everything like that, and able to play so well. Like, that's absolutely incredible stuff from Robert Williams in this game, and you see the company he joins there. Not too shabby, not too shabby. MT saying only one to do it without a turnover. So I didn't even have a single turnover game. First player to ever have 9 blocks in under 25 minutes in a playoff game. So, I mean, more stats. And I think that he had other stats like that throughout the season. I'm trying to remember what the other one was that he had. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I think it was he had some other similar stats where he had some crazy block number. I forget. MT, I don't know if you can tell me what it was, but it was something like 10, 8, 8, and 8. I think that's what it was. It was like he had 8 because he had 8 assists in the game. He had 8 assists in the game too. I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was like the first center with 10, 8, 8, 10, 8, 8, and 8. Or I'm trying to think if I could say this. Maybe 100% shooting. I think it was like him and I don't know if it was Wilt or something, but it was him and like some other crazy company. I vaguely remember the stat now, but it was. I mean, he's had some crazy numbers like that where you compare him and it's like, wow, he's this kind of shows how special he can be at only, whatever he is now, 23, 24 years old, like still very young. As he, grows into his own and as your core becomes, Tatum, Brown, and Robert Williams, throw him in there too. Like that's going to be pretty special. And I think people kind of ignore him as part of the Celtics core going forward, but you better start putting him in the discussion, especially with the way he played tonight. He's very clearly a special player and deserves a lot of credit for what he's been doing. And he's going to be a piece, come 2 years from now that when it becomes time to talk about Tatum's free agency or Brown's free agency 2 or 3 years down the road, he's going to be someone that's, part of that kind of, hey, come back to play because the team we're building here with you guys and Robert Williams and whoever else is going to emerge is, we think can be pretty special. So that's important to acknowledge. And saying Stephen Taylor's 100% right. Going back to his point, I guess up here, just talking about, I guess, maybe people questioning Tatum and the fact that he played good defense. Again, I think all that stuff is fair, and it's playing good defense is one of the biggest things against this Nets team. But Kevin Durant still dropped 32 and 12, and I know that wasn't all Tatum, but it was, those star players still went off, and the Celtics were able to shut down everybody else, but Tatum's number one responsibility in this playoff run for the Celtics is to score. So when he doesn't do that, I don't think it's totally unfair to get on him a little bit and say, this you need better than that. And then Steven saying, Coach Stevens, our fight was right, our competitiveness was right, our defensive focus was right for the most part. We've just got to attack their switching better. And maybe that was the big problem. And I guess that was the big takeaway that Stevens had from the game. I think that there's some minor, maybe that's why he thinks Tatum struggled so much is because they struggled to attack the defense off the switch. They were hoping, and the Nets were very, for all the weird quirks about the Nets lineup tonight, they are, considerably switchable. Their shortest player on the floor, I think, is 6'3", and their tallest was probably Kevin Durant at 6'10", who's obviously we know is very switchable. So with their starting lineup tonight, at least a Blake, Durant, Joe Harris, Harden, and Kyrie, that's a pretty underrated how switchable that lineup is. So I guess that caught the Celtics off guard. And there's a lot of bad defenders on the floor. So, you should be able to attack those mismatches. But that one advantage of that line defensively is they can switch really well. So I guess that's the silver lining, and that's what gave the Celtics problems tonight. MT saying our top 3 players shot 14 for 46. That's all that needs to be said about this game, really. And for as much as I've already talked about Kemba's struggles and Tatum's struggles in this game, Evan Fournier, 10 points, 3 of 10 shooting. And throw him on the list too, because like I said, he needs to be the guy that kind of steps into that third scoring role that gives you close to 20, at least 17. And 10 points from him on 30% shooting isn't good enough. It's funny because all these guys, literally, Kemba Walker, 31.2%. Evan Fournier, 30%. Tatum, 30%. That's what they all shot in this game. 31, 30, and 30. All from the field in this game. It's just not even close to good enough. Not even remotely close to good enough if you're going to expect to win. Is that saying Nets in 4? I know a lot of people. That's the second time we've seen that in this chat tonight. And yeah, it's if I again before the series I wouldn't have been surprised. I feel like honestly, as crazy as it sounds, even though that's just one game one, I feel like now's not the time to say that. I still have my concerns that, hey, if this is the best the Celtics can play, then that's going to be an issue because, I feel like, or if this is the closest Celtics are going to come to winning, like, I feel like that could be the case. Could have been their best chance. Now the Nets are just going to blow them out a bunch. But even with that maybe being the case, I feel like if we're to take what we just saw in game one, that this is more encouraging than anything. This is better than I thought we were going to see in game one. So I'm ready to get ready for game two. Then game 3, 4, you go back home. There's more fans in the arena, at least for game 4, than there have been all season. So maybe they get an extra boost from that. I'm not ready to call it a sweep yet. I think if you have hope for anything, it should be that the Celtics are really going to, get motivated by there being more fans in the arena, and the fact that, they not just there being more fans in the arena then, but you hope that's part of the reason why they struggled so much this season was not just COVID, not just injuries, which of course were a huge, huge part of it, but also having one of the best home court advantages in the league. And, that we all know how great it is to play in Boston, how every player who's played here kind of reveres the fans, and, almost every player that played here at least reveres the fans and talks about how great it is to be in that arena and play in that arena, and how they get motivated by the fans and everything like that. So it's a great arena to play in when it's packed, and I think that maybe that had a little bit to do. I mean, home court advantage is obviously huge in the NBA. There's no secret about that. Home court makes a huge difference, and you see the home records versus the road records for all these teams. So maybe the fact that the Celtics are going to get that boost from having their home crowd back, their full home crowd back, or almost full home crowd back, is going to be something that helps lift them to a Game 4 victory. So I'm not ruling any of that out yet. I really am not. I think, again, like I said, this was a decent side. Game 1 on the road. In games 3 and 4 back home with fans, I don't doubt that they could steal a game or two. Ben saying, need everything to go right to win, and they need everything to go wrong to lose. I don't know if that's the best way to categorize it. Again, like I said, I mean, is Tatum scoring 30 and Kemba scoring, 24 when Fournier's having an off night, which, again, could have won you this game. Is that everything going right? I don't know. You need a lot to go right, certainly. But, I mean, again, and everything didn't go wrong for the Nets tonight. Kyrie had 29. Durant had 32 and 12. Harden had an unreal game. Like, those are insane games from their top 3 players. So you were, I don't want to say pretty close, but a lot went wrong for the Celtics tonight, and a lot went right for the Nets, even still, despite their how the game flow went, and how you might say, well, it wasn't a great game from the Nets. Well, look at their star player stats. Like, is it going to get much better than that? It could, but it's not a lot better than what we're seeing right now from those stat lines. So, to categorize it like that, I don't think it's entirely unfair, because even despite that, those stat lines, they were in this game. And if you look at the box score tells a drastically different story than the game actually tells. Like, the box score would give a huge discrepancy. Like I said, this even before, like MT said right here, it's all these top 3 players shot 14 to 46. 14 to 46 tonight, and somehow, and the Nets star players scored, 82 points, and they were just outscored the best, and they were insane. They were insane. There was a huge difference between the Nets' top 3 scorers and the Celtics' top 3 scorers, and yet the Celtics had the lead in the first half, and if they got a few better contributions, they could have won this game. So I'm not totally ready to say that yet. And you're saying even if their big 3 play poorly, they have others to step up. If our big 2 play poorly, we can't even rely on anybody, whatever you meant to say at the end there. Yes, that's true. But, I mean, I don't think the Nets roster doesn't go quite as deep as you think. Like, Blake is there and Joe Harris is there. But, like, once it gets down to, like, Jeff Green and, Landry Shamet, like, those guys are good. But it's not – you're not talking about, you're not talking about, like, they still have D'Angelo Russell or, Lou Williams, or like they have, I don't know, pick any of these elite scorers off the bench. Like, they don't have another guy that can drop 25, consistently or anything like that. Like, they have 3 superstars, and they have some really, really good role players. But the Celtics should be able to handle those guys for the most part. Anyway, Blue Diamond Gem saying, I would rather have the lottery pick. This was a point I made a little bit, dating back to before, and that being a path. And let's just see what happens with the Warriors, because if you wanted the lottery pick, the Warriors were probably going to have around the pick you would have had. So we'll see how good the Warriors do in the lottery. And if they do pretty good, hey, maybe that argument will get a little more validity. They should, even with the fact that they're not going to be in the lottery, they'll probably still have, I think, the 16th pick in the draft. So it's not going to be too much of a difference, assuming they wouldn't have jumped up. So I don't think you have too much to worry about. Any comment on the flagrant? No, I don't have anything to say. Let's see. Saying MT, Rob's first start this season. He went for 7 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 blocks, and 2 steals. Is that it? No, it's not. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was. Let me. I should be able to find it pretty quickly, actually, because I think it was Wilt, if I'm remembering it right. But let me see if I can find it, and then maybe I'll be able to pull it up here even. If I can get to it might look a little weird. Yeah, here it is. I don't know if I can pull this up. I'll give it a try though. Let me airdrop it to if I airdrop it to my phone or to my computer rather, I might be able to share it. It might look a little bit weird with the stream the way I have it set up, but we can still peek it real quick and it'll be fine. So let's see here. Yeah, I can just do this. Why not? All right, here we go. I'll pull it up for you guys right now. And here it is. So again, it's going to look a little weird here, but just don't mind it. Anyway, let me pull down the MT your chat here. So yeah, Robert Williams, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 100% field goal percentage in a game. And it's Wilt, Nikola Jokic, and him. So again, there's more evidence of how good Robert Williams can be at his best. Incredible stuff. And MT saying he had a pretty remarkable game versus the Rockets in April. It is probably the game you were referring to. And let's see, is this? I think that is that actually. Yeah, you had it right in your next comment. Which this was this one. He went for 29 for 9 rebounds, 8 assists, one steal, 2 blocks, plus 22. Also had 0 turnovers. Yeah, there's ridiculous stuff. Ridiculous how good he's playing. And Ben, you're saying we shot 14 from 36 because our other guys don't score. I don't think that's, again, like our other guys haven't been scoring all season, Ben. They haven't been scoring all season, and they don't shoot that bad. And by the way, don't say it's because they're playing against a great team. It's the playoffs now. They're playing a great team like the Nets because the Nets aren't great defensively. So no, that's not why. They need to play better. They need to score better than that. They don't give them the excuse that everybody else sucks. I don't want to hear that because you're giving them, you're letting them off too easy. And I'm not going to rag on them totally. Look, it's a tough task to beat this Nets team. It's not going to be easy, and it's not. And they shouldn't be expected to, but they should have shot better tonight. Tatum and Kemba should have shot better tonight, and they shoot better despite the fact that they've played with these terrible teammates or whatever that's what you want to call them all season long. They played with these guys all season long. So no, the fact that that the other guys don't score is not why they shot 14 to 46. They should have played better despite that. And we're going to wrap it up here soon, but MT saying I had to correct myself, try to retract the message. You're all good, MT. I appreciate you looking it up. But yeah, that was the Rob game that I was talking about. And, if there's one takeaway from tonight, one big takeaway, it should be Robert Williams, and a big credit to him for playing as well as he did. And I'll pull up again. It's going to look a little weird with the way I have it set up now, but I'll pull up his stats from tonight because I did just show his what should I say? his stat line from a few months ago now, or I guess a month and a half ago or so now. So I'll show his stat line from tonight because it was just to end the stream, just because it was so impressive. So there it is from Rob. 11 points, 9 rebounds, 9 blocks, franchise playoff record, 1 rebound and 1 block shy of a triple-double. So incredible stuff from Rob, and shout out to him. He was really, really impressive tonight. So, it's just insane. And MT saying, I might not pull it up, but like it or not, Danny is licking his lips at this performance by Rob, especially knowing changes are coming. If he thinks Rob can't stay healthy, he's gone. We'll see. We'll see MT23. I personally like Rob. I'd like him to stay on the roster, but we'll see what the Celtics can pull in a trade. If it comes down to giving up Robert Williams for Bradley Beal, yeah, you probably do that. But if it's like, oh yeah, let's try to trade up in the draft. Let's try to get like the 5th pick in the draft. I'll trade Robert Williams. Like, no, I don't think so. What else could you think? Would let me try to get Kyle Lowry in a sign and trade. Like, No, I don't think they're doing that either. Again, yeah. So if it's someone like Karl Anthony Towns, yeah, I'll do that. I'll trade Rob for Karl Anthony Towns if it's some package to get him. But if it's, again, for Kyle Lowry or, in a sign and trade, because obviously he's a free agent, or, whoever else you want to throw out there, like this would be crazy, but like a Kemba for John Wall swap, no, I'm not throwing Rob in there or anything like that. So, it depends on what it is. It always depends on what it is. But Rob's performance tonight should just be honored for what it was, which was unreal and very special considering how injured he was. And it is unfortunate that he gets injured so much, but if he can stay healthy, we can see how special he can be. So, but thank you guys for watching. Appreciate tuning into the streams as always. We'll be back for the Game 2 stream. And you can follow me on Twitter at ByCatchItOil. Check out Ev on Twitter at EvGuyBoston, because I know he'll be back on these streams. Once we head back to Boston, he'll be back for the post-game streams. But I appreciate you guys for watching as always. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, do everything you need to do, and we'll catch you guys next time.